Welcome, Book Talk enthusiasts, to another exciting episode of
Dragons and Spaceships,
where we shine a spotlight on all the sci-fi and fantasy books that are taking the platform by a storm. I'm your host, Brandy, and today we are going to dive into a modern-day telling of Hades and Persephone and talk about A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. But before we dive into this book, let's take a look at the realm and galactic rankings of trending books this week. The top trending books in fantasy and sci-fi for this week are To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang, The Narrow Road Between Desires by Patrick Rothfuss, The Olympian Affair by Jim Butcher, Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, and The Rise of the Dragon by Linda Edtonson, George R. Martin, and Elio M. Garcia Jr. Okay, back to our book, A Touch of Darkness. This is a reimagining of the classic Hades and Persephone myth, but with a contemporary twist. Set in the modern-day city of New Athens, this story follows Persephone, a young journalist trying to carve out her own path, and Hades, the enigmatic and brooding god of the underworld who runs a high-end gambling den. So what makes this book stand out and be so popular in Book Talk? Let's break it down. First off, let's talk about how many books there are in the series and the different perspectives they provide. So for this episode, we are just going to be talking about A Touch of Darkness, but they have an order of 3 books that are in Persephone's perspective and another 3 books that are in Hades' perspective. So a lot of people like to tandem read. Some people like to read Persephone's first and then Hades' book because it's about the same timeline. And so for me, what I read is I read Persephone's perspective and then Hades, and then Persephone's, Hades, Persephone, Hades. So these are the books that are in the series. So first we have A Touch of Darkness, which is Persephone's perspective. Then we have A Game of Fate, A Touch of Ruin, A Game of Retribution, A Touch of Malice, and then A Game of Gods. So before we dive into everything else, let's go ahead and read the Goodreads summary. Persephone is the goddess of spring by title only. The truth is, since she was a little girl, flowers have shriveled at her touch. After moving to New Athens, she hopes to lead an unassuming life disguised as a mortal journalist. Hades, god of the dead, has built a gambling empire in the mortal world, and his favorite bets are rumored to be impossible. After a chance encounter with Hades, Persephone finds herself in a contract with the god of the dead, and the terms are impossible. Persephone must create a life in the underworld or lose her freedom for forever. The bet does more than expose Persephone's failure as a goddess, however. As she struggles to sow the seeds of her freedom, her love for the god of the dead grows, and it's forbidden. So first off, Scarlett St. Clair's writing is incredibly immersive. She paints a vivid picture of New Athens, blending the mundane with the magical seamlessly. You can almost feel the tension and electricity in the air whenever Persephone and Hades are in the same room. And she does a really good job with talking about all the other characters and the world building. And you can really get a clear visual of what Persephone's room looks like with her roommate Alexa, what her mother looks like. She's very descriptive in everything revolving the story. So let's dive into the characters. Persephone is our main girl. She's our protagonist, and she is the goddess of spring. But in the mortal world, she hides her divine nature, attempting to live a normal life as a journalist. She is intelligent, ambitious, and yearns for independence. Persephone struggles with her powers, which she tries to keep hidden, and her complex relationship with her mother, Demeter. That's another story. Her journey is one of self-discovery and embracing her true identity. I really enjoy Persephone's character arc in this story. I think it's really cool how, we're blending a bit of what it means to be a god or a kid of a god, and then coming into this modern world where there's humans mixed up in as well, and having a controlling mother. And it's really kind of a fun dynamic to see both of them and how she enters into the human world and really embraces that and really tries her best to be a human. Okay, let's talk about Hades. Hades is the enigmatic and brooding god of the underworld. He owns a high-end gambling den in the mortal world where he often makes deals with mortals. Hades is powerful, mysterious, and has a reputation of being ruthless. However, beneath the tough exterior lies a deep sense of loneliness and desire for genuine connection. His relationship with Persephone is central to the story, marked by intense chemistry and mutual growth. But speaking of the tension, the chemistry between these two main characters is palpable. Persephone is not your typical damsel in distress. She is strong, she's determined, and she's fiercely independent. Hades, on the other hand, is mysterious and dangerous, but with a surprising depth that makes him irresistible. Their interactions are filled with witty banter, steamy encounters, and a slow burn romance that keeps you hooked from start to finish. There are other important characters as well, such as Hermes, who is the playful and charming messenger of the gods. There is Demeter, who is Persephone's overprotective mother and the goddess of harvest. There is Hecate, who is the goddess of magic and witchcraft, and Lexa, who is immortal and Persephone's roommate and closest friend. The secondary characters are well developed and add so much richness to the story. From Persephone's friends to the other gods and goddesses, each character has a unique role that really makes the overall plot just so much better. One of the themes that Scarlet St. Clair explores beautifully is the idea of choice and freedom. Persephone's struggle to break free from the expectations placed on her and Hades' own battle with his dark nature create a dynamic, thought-provoking narrative. It really is a story about finding oneself and embracing who you truly are, flaws and all. Now, for those of you who love a little bit of spice in your reads, A Touch of Darkness does not disappoint. The romance is intense and the intimate scenes are tastefully written, adding an extra layer of depth to the characters' relationship. This book is honestly such a fun read, and there is good reason that you see this all over Book Talk. I really enjoyed reading the different perspectives and getting a nice rounded story from both sides, and I am a sucker for Greek mythology, and especially regarding Persephone and Hades' story. So this was very fun for me to dive into. It's really cool to see her relationship with her mother throughout the series and how she grows to have more of a backbone than she does in the first one. So I highly recommend you check out this book if you're wanting a new fun read, if you like Greek mythology and you want a little bit of spicy romance. But before we go, we have two other segments to go over. First, we have the Dragon's Roar. In today's Dragon's Roar, we are delving into the latest news or drama in the book talk industry. If you are a fan of Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli, then I'm sure you have seen the preview on her social media of her second book called Rebel Witch. Rebel Witch comes out February 18th, 2025. Kristen shared with us the tropes for her second installment. I highly recommend that you go and look at that social media post. My favorite trope was enemies to lovers to enemies to ... I can't wait for the second book. Next, we have the Sorcerer's Scrolls, where we look at some forthcoming fables and quests that you can embark on soon. Today, we are going to talk about In Our Stars by Jack Campbell. This is what I found online that's about this book. Lieutenant Celine Genji has one last chance to save Earth from destruction in this pulse-pounding science fiction adventure. It's set in Earth 2180, genetically engineered with partially alien DNA. Lieutenant Celine Genji is different from ordinary humans, and they hate her for it. Still, she has spent her life trying to overcome society's prejudice by serving in the United Fleet while Earth's international order collapses into war. So that is definitely a book that I am interested in picking up and reading because that sounded very intriguing to me. So if you're looking for a new book, check out In Our Stars by Jack Campbell. So should you pick up A Touch of Darkness? Absolutely. If you enjoy modern day mythological retellings with strong heroines, complex heroes, and a romance that sizzles, this book is perfect for you. It's the perfect blend of fantasy, romance, and self-discovery. That's it for today's episode of Dragons and Spaceships. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the realms and the starships. Have you read A Touch of Darkness? If so, drop a comment and tell us what you thought of it, because we would love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to find us on social media for more quick and engaging book reviews and recommendations. Until next time, happy reading, and keep exploring the fantastical and futuristic, and may your TBR pile never stop growing.